There is a quiet strength in the ability to awaken the best in another human being. The Power of Motivating Others is not merely a book about techniques or leadership tactics, it is a journey into the heart of influence, the kind that transforms, uplifts, and reignites the human spirit. It teaches that motivation is not about pushing others forward, but about lighting a flame within them, a flame that guides them toward their own purpose. The book begins with a profound truth. Every person carries an inner potential waiting to be seen, acknowledged, and encouraged. Too often, people walk through life feeling unnoticed, undervalued, and disconnected from their own greatness. The author reminds us that the true art of motivating others begins not with persuasion, but with presence, with the ability to truly see another person. When we take the time to recognize someone's efforts, when we listen with genuine care, and when we reflect back to them the strength they've forgotten they possess, we become the mirror that helps them remember who they are. Through moving stories and insightful reflections, the book shows how great motivators, whether teachers, leaders, friends, or family members, all share one essential quality: empathy. Motivation cannot be imposed, it must be awakened through understanding. One story tells of a young manager who struggled with an underperforming team. At first, she tried to enforce discipline, deadlines, and performance metrics, but nothing changed. It was only when she began asking her team members about their personal goals and challenges that something shifted. One employee confessed that he feared failure so much that he avoided taking initiative. Another shared that she felt her ideas weren't valued. With time, compassion, and encouragement, that team transformed. Productivity rose, but more importantly, morale blossomed. They began to believe in themselves again. The lesson is clear: when people feel understood, they open up. When they open up, they begin to trust. And when they trust, they are ready to grow. Motivation, then, is not a tool for control, but an act of love, a commitment to help others rediscover their inner power. Another key insight the book explores is the difference between external motivation and internal inspiration. External motivation comes from rewards, recognition, or fear of punishment. It can create movement, but rarely meaning. Internal inspiration, on the other hand, springs from purpose, from the deep desire to do something that aligns with one's values, passions, or dreams. The author reminds us that true motivators do not focus on dangling rewards, but on helping others connect their tasks to something greater than themselves. Consider the story of a factory worker named Samuel. For years, he viewed his job as repetitive and meaningless, just another paycheck. Then one day, a new supervisor sat down with the team and told them, "The parts you assemble here are used in medical equipment that saves lives. Every piece you touch today will one day touch someone's future." That one conversation changed everything. Samuel began to show up early, work carefully, and encourage others to do the same. His work hadn't changed, only his meaning had. When people see how their efforts matter, their energy transforms. The author expands on this idea, emphasizing that motivation is less about getting people to do something, and more about helping them want to do it. To inspire others, you must awaken their sense of contribution, that quiet voice that whispers, "My life matters. What I do makes a difference." The book suggests practical ways to do this, by connecting every role to a purpose, by recognizing small wins, by showing gratitude sincerely and often, and by helping people envision the impact of their work beyond themselves. Another core teaching is that motivation flows from authenticity. You cannot inspire others if you are disconnected from your own truth. The book tells of a teacher who once said, "Students can always feel when you believe in what you're saying." The same applies to every area of life: leadership, parenting, friendship, or mentorship. People are not inspired by perfection, they are inspired by passion and sincerity. When you share your own journey, your struggles, your doubts, and your triumphs, you remind others that growth is possible for them too. The book beautifully explains that motivational energy is contagious. When you radiate hope, others absorb it. When you demonstrate resilience, others learn to stand taller. But when you lead with fear or frustration, those emotions spread just as quickly. That is why true motivators guard their inner state carefully. They cultivate self-awareness, gratitude, and calm, so they can pour from a full heart. The author writes, "You cannot pour light from an empty lamp." To motivate others, you must first nurture your own flame. A particularly powerful chapter explores the idea of believing in someone until they believe in themselves. Every great transformation, the author suggests, begins with someone's faith, often borrowed from another person. A mentor who refuses to give up. A friend who says, "I see something in you." This kind of belief has a sacred power. It can awaken dreams that were buried under years of doubt. It can turn quiet voices into confident leaders. One story in the book tells of a high school student named Lila, who struggled with low self-esteem and poor grades. Her teacher, Mr. Hayes, refused to define her by her performance. Instead, he kept reminding her of her potential, not through empty praise, but through gentle challenges and genuine encouragement. When she finally earned her first A, she said, "You believed in me so much that I started to believe in myself." Years later, she became a counselor, helping others find that same inner spark. The deeper message here is timeless. To motivate others, you must see beyond their current state. Look at them not as they are, but as they could become. Speak to their potential, not their limitations. Every word of belief plants a seed, and with enough light, it will grow. The book also delves into the balance between challenge and support. Too much pressure can break a spirit, too little can leave it stagnant. The art lies in knowing when to push and when to uplift. Great motivators stretch others just beyond their comfort zone, where growth feels possible but not overwhelming. This is where transformation happens, in the tension between comfort and courage. The author compares it to helping a bird learn to fly. If you never encourage it to leave the nest, it will never soar. But if you push too soon, it may fall. The wise motivator knows when to encourage, when to guide, and when to simply trust the process. Throughout the book, there is a recurring spiritual thread, the reminder that motivation is an act of service. When you help others rise, you are contributing to something larger than yourself. The author shares that motivating others is not only about helping them succeed, it's about awakening the human spirit wherever it has dimmed. It's about helping people remember their worth, especially when the world has made them forget. Perhaps one of the most moving sections speaks about the power of words. A single kind sentence can change the course of someone's day, even their life. Words can either wound or awaken. True motivators choose words that heal, guide, and inspire. They speak life into others, especially when silence or criticism would be easier. The book urges readers to practice intentional speech, to pause before speaking, to ask, "Will my words lift or lower this person?" Over time, these conscious acts of communication become a source of light in workplaces, homes, and relationships. As the book nears its conclusion, it invites the reader to reflect inward. To ask, "Am I motivating others from a place of love, or from a need for control?" True motivation never manipulates, it liberates. It honors the autonomy of others while gently guiding them toward growth. It doesn't demand gratitude or recognition. Its reward lies in seeing another human being rise stronger, freer, and more confident. The author closes with an image that lingers long after the final page, the image of a candle lighting another candle. The first candle does not lose its flame, it multiplies it. So too, when we motivate others, we do not lose our energy, we expand it. We become channels of light in a world that often feels dim. And that is the greatest legacy any of us can leave, not wealth, not power, but the lives we've lifted, the hope we've restored, and the courage we've awakened. The book ends not with instructions, but with a blessing. May you be the kind of person whose presence reminds others of their strength. May your words bring clarity, your actions bring faith, and your spirit bring peace. For in motivating others, you awaken the highest within yourself. That is the heart of the power of motivating others, a gentle reminder that every encounter holds the possibility of transformation. When you choose to believe in someone, to encourage them, to lift them, you are not just changing their day, you are shaping their destiny.